So here we are, Jensen Beach, Florida. We've been coming here for a few years now, but this time, things feel different. Or maybe it's just me. This is Bonnie's front door. She's the proprietor of the place where we stay. Hey, Kevin. For some reason, we're doubting ourselves. Feeling maybe a little lost. Maybe homesick too. What the fuck are we doing here?
So weird. It's just gotten so strange. I mean, I feel like this has really gotten strange. Do you fear ever that this just isn't working?
No.
Okay, so do you think this is all going according to plan?
No, of course not. I mean, we're living a dream, right?
In the winter of 2010, my wife Julie and I were looking for a change and decided to take a trip. Our Toronto life was largely a happy one, a mix of family, friends, and a creative world that we shared.
Oh. Oh. No.
Julie had worked as an actor pretty much straight out of high school, and I had run an audio recording business since the 80s. We'd built a beautiful downtown home from an old brick stable. We had most anything we could want. But for some reason, call it career ambivalence, restlessness, or the dreaded and dreadfully termed midlife crisis, we were poised for something new. Something we couldn't quite see. Traveling felt like the obvious thing to do. The idea of being in exotic places like Fez, Tangier, and Marrakesh seemed like the right one at the time. In an unexpected way, it was.
It was coming back from Morocco to Spain. We were on a ferry. There was a storm coming in, and we were crossing from Tangier to Tarifa. And this ferry ride, we'd taken the same one to get there, and it took, 30 minutes or something, and the same passage took an hour and a half this day, because we were going into waves and chop, and a storm. And this ferry was like boom, boom, all over the place. And, you know, kids were vomiting and women were crossing themselves and people were crying and thinking they were going to die. And Jamie had gone out on the deck and was out there and smelling the air and thinking, oh my God,
You were out there too.
No, I came out to see where you were and then I went back in. And he decided that he missed being on the water.
I got the sailing gene from my dad, but sailing's not for everyone. My mum, for instance, hated it. So while the purchase of a keelboat was the result of that trip, it was also a kind of experiment. How would Julie take to life on the water? But I'd lucked out. Bringing the Emma home proved that she had a comfort with the elements. She was at ease in a boat. As much as I loved the Emma, she'd brought back memories of crewing on Dad's Lightning and racing lasers and 470s as a kid in Montreal. I wanted something more nimble, something I could race, something I could do with Jules. By the time we sailed our 5.5-tonner into the Toronto harbor, I'd realized I'd made a mistake. I was on the wrong boat.
I think it was September. I was in bed one morning with my coffee and my knitting, and Jamie walked in and was sort of hovering in the doorway, and I said, "What's up, babe?" And he said, so there's this boat called an albacore, and there's a pretty big fleet of these albacores in Toronto, and as it happens, the albacore worlds are going to be held here in Toronto pretty much a year from now. So what do you think? You wanna do it with me?
At the time, it didn't seem to matter that I'd not been in a dinghy for 35 years, or that Julie had never sailed before. We didn't think about it too much, which was probably a good thing.
You know, and Jamie had first come to me and said, let's get this boat and I'll teach you how to crew and we'll do this regatta a year from now. And I was like, good, I need something to do for the next year.
It was incredible to me that there could be a thriving, competitive, really good racing fleet that consisted of albacores. Anyway, we bought the 6888 Pug. The Pugster.
Yeah, so we bought the boat on a Thursday evening. We went out on the Friday, and it was maybe like 10 knots. I was doing a little bit of hiking, and I remember thinking, oh, wow, this is so exciting. I'm going to be a sailor. Oh, my God, Mom, I'm going to be a sailor. And the next day we went out again and had a beautiful sail. It was a gentle breeze and a sunny day, and it wasn't too cold. And it was just really lovely and glamorous, and oh, it was going to be beautiful. And then we decided we were going to do this race on Sunday.
And I had this idea that I knew what I was
doing. Mm-hmm. We had no idea.
We had no idea.
So yeah, we're out there among all the boats, and they're all like, where are they all going? They're so close. Holy fuck, these boats are all really close. In front of us and behind us, and now, oh my God, they're gonna drive into us. I'm like, what's going on? And we were trying to sail around and kind of get the feel of the day, I guess. Trying to act natural, exactly.
And I remember on that day very clearly going into this position, sort of.
We found ourselves in this position in the boat where we couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't go. Jamie was, in fact, so out of it. He didn't know what was going on.
Boat stuck. Boat doesn't sail well when you're
going backwards,
right
and then we stopped. The boat just sort of stopped. You know, I looked back at Jamie and I was thinking, what's going on, dude? Come on, skipper. Come on, captain. Make it happen. And Jamie was going, I don't know what's happening.
It's like, what is this thing?
I don't know what's happening. The sails were kind of doing this floppy flop thing. This went on for a few minutes, and then Jamie said, oh my God. I think I know what this is. I think we're in irons. And I didn't know.
That meant a lot to you.
It meant nothing to me. All I knew was, we had to, just get the boat going again. And so Jamie said something about backing the jib, and I, of course, didn't know what that meant. We got the boat moving again, and then we capsized.
Boom! We were over.
We capsized.
So the race hadn't even started, and we're down.
It was a very, very leaky boat. So we got it up and it went down. We got it up and it went down.
And 2.5 hours later, after drifting through Toronto's Eastern Gap, we beached her on the Toronto Islands.
So that was our big debut. Not a great debut.
I got very sad after that.
Yeah. We've heard since then that apparently people thought they were never going to see us again.
Oh boy. We got this new boat, and the first time out, we don't even make it to the starting line.
You'd underestimated how hard it was going to be, I guess you had.
Yeah. Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
I was embarrassed, I didn't know what I was doing, and it showed. As I dragged Pug out of the water that day, a guy who liked to tinker more than sail said to me, "We've all been there." My heart sank. I'd just bought 2 boats. Was the experiment over? Had I just learned that memories are best when you don't test them? That first week back in a dinghy was a mess.
I remember being quite taken aback by Jamie's reaction to that first race. He was ready to quit, which just didn't make sense to me. I mean, sure, it was a disaster, but it wasn't like him to take it so hard. I guess if he'd thought that we could win in 2011, then yeah, this was a rude awakening. But more to the point, it seemed to reveal how important it was to him. He'd thought he was pretty good all those years ago, and that belief had stuck with him. And I guess now he was going to find out how good he really was.
At first I was thrown, and then I was pissed. All this time believing I knew what I was doing in a sailboat, and I had to start learning all over again. We got back into the albacore, the days got shorter, and the weather got colder, and we went out doing turns around the harbor, trying to get better. Within a month, I'd bought a laser to help improve my skills. This now was boat number 3. We sailed into December that year, long after the other boats had packed up for the season. Our living room became a workshop. Our boats had moved in. Jules hardly blinked, and that spoke volumes. I'd gone a little mad, flying to Cabarete for winter laser training and capsizing all week at the back of the pack, towing our boats to the Florida racing circuit, getting my head handed to me, and breaking my first mast. Julie joined me at Davis Island, and we headed to Sarasota to make ready for our first regatta together.
Do you remember anything else about being in Sarasota the first time?
Well, like we were saying, that first time was a bit of a blur. Because we didn't know whether we were coming or going. We were just still figuring out the sailing thing, and everything felt absolutely new. We were figuring out being in Florida, in a town we'd never been to before, at a sailing club we'd never sailed out of before, in a sailboat we didn't know how to sail.
I was still overwhelmed by all the lines and the chords and all the little things to adjust. Didn't know anything about this, mysterious pointing. Like, what is that? What is pointing? I mean, you knew what it meant, but I had no idea. People kept talking about pointing. Oh, I can't point. Oh, you're pointing well. Oh, you're not pointing very well. I was like, what's the pointing thing? I don't know what that is. But apparently we had a problem with it.
Julie and I were used to staying in shape. Still, those early days weren't easy. We tried to do 50-50s, 50 tacks and 50 jibes. Impossible with all the capsizing mixed in. We'd collapse into our cheap hotel eating subs and wondering if we'd ever figure things out.
And then when the first race actually started, the breeze stopped. And I remember the gun went off. We had not yet been out in this no breeze at all. And I didn't have any idea what to do. And it was super, super quiet. The gun went off and it was really, really quiet. And nobody was making any noise. And I said, what are we doing? What are we doing? And Jamie went, shut up, shut up. I said, but I don't know what I'm doing. Shut up, get over there. And he shoved me over to the other side of the boat. I was like, don't shove me. Shut up, be quiet. We gotta be still. I had no idea. like what this, leaning the boat to the leeward was. And then the second race, there was breeze again, but then we were doing triangles and we were doing reaches for the first time. And I didn't really know what to do on a reach. Jib in, jib out, jib in, jib out.
At the Albacore Midwinters, we finished mid-pack against a quick and experienced fleet. At least this time, we'd made it to the start line.
You guys did great. That was great sailing. You're still struggling with your pointing a bit, though, eh? And I was like, yeah, whatever.
May 21st. I have a confession to make. There are days, fond as I am of Pug, that I wish we'd just gone in for a new boat instead of this old beater. But we have to earn it. A new one wouldn't have felt right.
But it's still stuck.
Frustrations begin at the beginning with removing the stupid boat cover, which is falling apart. I'm constantly having to check my anger before I've even set foot in the boat. 4.5 hours of sailing yesterday. June 7th. We've been sailing a lot. I have to know what to do and do it quickly in a race situation. It could mean the difference between winning and losing a race someday. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting better, sometimes I feel like I'm going in circles. June 16th. Yesterday in its entirety was insane. About 2.5 minutes to the start, I noticed the boom vang was loose and hanging. Jamie scrambled forward as I tried to steer us to the start line. Then the tiller extension broke on the second leg of the second race. At some point, it's got to all come together for us. But that fucking boat, I don't know what we're gonna do about it. July 7th. I did well staying calm in the race last night, and it was a toughie. A drifter. Dirty air all over the place and nowhere to tack except into more dirty air. Eventually we got clear, but all the top boats were way ahead by that point. July 14th, Monday debrief, post-RCYC regatta. General theme, the more we shut up, the better. Crew, skipper, must. 1. Actively avoid confrontation. Keep mouth shut. 2. Not get sucked into my need to beat individuals. Before a race, remind ourselves of important race rules. No swearing. Sunday roundup. Things to work on. Mark groundings, shifting weight, stop-start drills. Strategy, mental strength, organization, boat speed, boat handling, starts, fitness, teamwork, tactics, rules. August 5th, Harbour Master Series. 2 races today. The yelling was starting to build as the boats all converged on the leeward mark, and we were thinking, fuck, all this ground we've made up and we're gonna have to duck under this huge, messy wall of angry boats, when out of nowhere, a large, inviting gap opened up right beside the mark. Jamie said, well, okay, and we jived into the gap and around the mark and left the mess behind. September 3rd. I can't believe it's upon us. That it's been an entire year now since Jamie came into the bedroom and asked if I wanted to do this with him.
I was feeling more confident at that point. We were just a whole lot more solid than we were even a few months previous. Our first international regatta was up and down. Sadly, more down than up.
The first day was the black flag, the first race.
The fleet was very aggressive on the start line.
So there were a bunch of recalls on the first race, and we didn't know yet what a black flag meant. So they did another start after the black flag went up, and then we saw that they were like holding up a chalkboard. Somebody said, well, you have to go and look at if your number's on the board, you're out of the race. And we're like, what? What's going on? So we went and looked at the board, and our number was on it. So we were from the very first race of the world.
Ultimately, a year of trying hard wasn't enough. We didn't know what we didn't know, and the only way to learn was by participating in events like these. I remember we had one good race.
We had a 6th, but it wasn't that first day.
Right. And it felt really good, to be sailing with those guys at the Worlds and to sort of break through like that. That was a great feeling. First time that whole year that I felt genuine satisfaction and pride in what we'd done.
Yeah. And then we got back to shore. Anyway, we got to shore that day and thought we'd had a pretty good day, and we were feeling pretty happy, and Barney had taken a picture of us, and I remember we were grinning. And then George Wilson came up to us and said, geez, I'm really sorry, guys. We were like, what? What's the problem?
2 OCSs.
2 OCSs.
You started too early.
You were over the line.
You were over the starting line, and if you don't know to go back, that means you're disqualified from that race.
And I remember sitting in the car. We were still in all our sailing gear, soaking wet, stinking. The windows were all fogged up and everything like that. And we were so depressed. Knock, knock, knock on the window. And Jamie kind of powered down the window, and Barney was there, and he leaned his head and he said, everything okay? And we told Barney that we had two OCSs, and, you know, I could just see his face. He just was like, sorry, man.
Capsizing on the last day didn't help either. At the awards ceremony in the grand halls of Toronto's Royal Canadian Yacht Club, we were handed the Mid-Packers Award, but really, we didn't win that because, in fact, it was a tie. Here is where this story was supposed to end. Instead, it was just beginning. Competitive sailing, like Alice's rabbit, was leading us to a strange and captivating place, and we were compelled to follow.
I was very faithful, would go every 2 weeks, but with this place, I don't have the time.
Easter toenails.
Yes, Julie, it's Easter. Let's go to that. Let's go to that.
In our search for somewhere to sail year-round, we landed at the Coral Reef Motel.
I told you how I did the tractor.
I want to hear about it, yeah.
I told you how I learned how to drive the tractor. Okay, we came to Jensen Beach to the Coral Reef Motel 17 years ago, and I had always wanted to retire with a bed and breakfast.
Right.
So Bob's theory was this: you get in the bed and they'll make their own breakfast. And I said, but no, that's not really what I wanted, but that's how it started, and that's how 17 years later, here I am. And everybody that's come has been very nice, and they feel like they're home.
Yeah.
You know, they come, oh, I'm home again, you know, for the winter. So I'm glad they feel that way.
Jensen Beach became our home away from home. Florida in the wintertime had never been our dream, but this unassuming place the locals think of as old Florida, where the buildings are lower and the pace is easier, had a key ingredient: a magical wind machine that turns on every day.
We were here to grow as sailors, so I had to start helming in order to be a better crew. The single-handed laser seemed the best way for me to learn, but this meant pushing through some scary, miserable days. Oh my God, it's windy again. Accomplished sailors might look forward to these conditions. For a beginner, it's something else again. Leaving the shore in a laser, you are well and truly on your own. On a windy day, it's like riding a bucking bronco. It's a physically demanding boat. I couldn't control it, and when you don't know what you're doing, bad things happen. We'd head out, and in no time I'd be screaming at the gods, going into irons, getting pushed back into shore, capsizing, and getting hurt. Busted boats, bruises, and broken teeth aside, it was the psychological wear and tear that would become my greatest enemy. I thought I was tough, but maybe I'd met my match. And all the while, looming in the background, was the knowledge that we had booked a month in Cabarete, the big wind and wave place in the Dominican where Jamie had been previously.
We arrived in the Dominican with a mix of excitement and dread. The chaotic downtown and the dubious hotel would only add to our jarring days. Cabarete attracts some of the best sailors in the world, who are attracted by some of the best winds in the world. It promised to be a true test of our resolve. We'd have briefings in the morning, and by lunchtime, the wind would come, quickly hitting 20 knots plus, and our day on the water would begin.
I had no business being there.
I had hoped that with the little bit of sailing that we'd done, that I would sort of have an inkling of what to expect when we got out there. When I was waiting for them to lift my boat over the shore break and into the water on that first morning, my heart was pounding so fast. I was trying to breathe. I was like trying to calm myself down. Because, it was occurring to me in that moment, not only was it like, the shore break and blah, 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 but I had never even really considered the fact that we were going to be out on the open ocean. That hadn't crossed my mind.
When we first started, it was okay because, I'd been out in 10, 12 knots. I was pretty comfortable in 10 or 12 knots. So we were in the middle of the downwind race, this drill that Rouleau calls the downwind race, where the sailors head up on a short upwind beat to like kind of a randomly dropped mark. And then you round the mark and you head down this long, long downwind race. By the time I got to that mark in that drill, I was way, way, way behind everybody else.
But also, the wind had easily doubled, like within minutes. It was 20 plus knots.
And I remember sort of reaching that mark and thinking, Jesus Christ, it's gotten a lot windier. And I tried to bear off to head down, and I just flipped.
So I got the boat up, and I tried to bear off to head down.
And couldn't control it, and flipped again. And I got the boat up again.
And capsized again. And again. And again. And again.
And I didn't know what was happening. And I tried to bear off, and I went down. And then I got the boat up, and I tried to bear off, and I went down. And then I went down, and then I went down.
I remember, no way you could sail down with that day.
No, I couldn't do it.
Eventually, Max came, the assistant coach came to try and talk me through how to bear off and head down. He was saying, not so fast when you bear off. And I tried to control it. I couldn't do it. And so I flipped again and again and again and again.
Now, ask any sailor and they'll tell you this is exhausting. Riding a laser in big breeze will take it out of you and leave very little for the sailing.
They say like every time that you capsize, it's like 1 hour sailing. So,
So
you spend the energy of 1 hour sailing.
Yeah.
It takes so much energy to put the boat back, And
wow, so that was like 15, 20 hours of sailing.
We got back down there, and by the time we joined up with the fleet, it had picked up even more, and it was probably 25 knots. Suddenly, the fleet sort of decided spontaneously that they didn't want to keep going either, and so everybody started heading in. But then I realized that this meant having to go back between these reefs. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to drive. I don't know where these deadly reefs are.
And now we were in 30 knots.
So, I tried to go on this reach, and the power in the sail, I'd never felt that before. It was frightening.
I panicked and I headed up and flipped again.
And I just realized I can't do this anymore.
The next time I went down, I resolved to stay there. I grabbed hold of the dagger board and allowed myself to simply hang. I would let the waves carry me to shore, I said to myself. Suddenly, I heard Jamie yelling to get my boat up immediately.
I can't do it.
I told him,
I can't do it again. You have to. Get that boat up right now. No way, I'm not doing this any fucking more.
I can't bring the boat up anymore, even if I could bring the boat up anymore. What am I going to do? I'm going to try and go on this reach again, and I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. I'm just going to flip again and capsize again.
What I wasn't aware of, though, was that the waves weren't bringing me into shore. They were washing me closer and closer to the reef on the right. Just when I realized the trouble I was in, Max showed up in the safety boat.
I remember you being exhausted and, and not able to keep going. And then, I remember that Max had to jump in your boat and sail the boat back, but it was really, really windy.
When I got back to land, I collapsed in a heap. Jamie stood by protectively, but I just wanted to be alone. I was so embarrassed. A big lump was forming on my shin from one of the spills I'd taken. Everyone else had already de-rigged and changed. They were eating food and drinking beer, talking and laughing about the amazing things they had done out there on the ocean. All I could think was that I had 4 more weeks of this ahead.
From Cabarete onward, our season was dominated by preparations for the 2013 Albacore Internationals in Abersoch, Wales. We were excited by the prospect of racing on the Irish Sea, but before we got there, we had work to do. Making up for all the years that Julie and I had not sailed was not only our biggest obstacle, but became our best motivator. We dedicated ourselves to the mechanics, tacking, jibing, mark roundings, and the essential moves that get made on the racecourse, things we could control. We'd rewarded ourselves with a new performance albacore from Hapco Marine and said goodbye to Pug, the boat that got us started. We were sailing all the time now, following the sun, believing that if we spent enough time practicing, maybe, just maybe, it would pay off. Our results were middling for the most part, but then we'd poke through a little, just enough to keep us going deeper into the tunnel of our own making.
We'd wait till their backs were turned and they were all relaxed and everything, and we didn't really press it because...
Did I blow?
No,
I didn't blow it or anything.
No, our move was good. There was probably a moment earlier on that reach where we could have really gone to town and really made it happen, and maybe we should have.
The year of self-talk may not be the best way of describing our time getting ready for Wales, but it isn't bad either. For the most part, we loved the challenge of getting better, but part of that process meant pushing through frustrating performances, boat troubles, and self-doubts. It often felt like one step forward and 2 steps back.
Wow. I'm so bad at this. Tacking, I was absolutely convinced on one leg that I took the longest possible journey to the windward mark that I could.
Those are the tactical things that somehow, if you can just...
Well, those are the tactical things that I was saying to you. I'm concerned about the tactical things.
Do it again, and recognize when you haven't done it, and then fix it the next time around.
That's the thing. I find myself constantly going, okay, am I sheeted in too tight or am I not sheeted in enough?
Yeah, I know.
Because I am just not moving.
Are you thinking? Are you thinking in your head? Having a little thinkage.
What are we going to eat? Let's go!
Some good things were beginning to happen. But when they did, we still didn't feel as if the results could be trusted. Full marks were only possible in a championship, a national or world event. We'd take a small win for what it was, and then move on to the next pack-up and the next roadside stop as building blocks to the bigger tests ahead. Travel was now a way of life, and logistics were becoming as dominant a feature of our sailing lives as sailing itself.
I'd sort of, let the memory of the intervening decades and decades sort of color my judgment. Because the fact is, I wasn't that good as a kid. I mean, I wasn't a champion. I was one of the good racers at the club, but I wasn't, and I never, probably the best that I ever had was like a 3rd place in the, Laser Junior Quebec provincials, which is not that's punk ass, and there weren't like a huge fleet of boats. 57 years old. I'm still a little uncertain about why I sort of elected not to sail for all that time.
By the time I got to 16, I was beginning to get rebellious. Rightly or wrongly, the sailboat racing world represented to me not only a tough go, but a lot of tough nuts, but it also represented something I was a little bit troubled by, the elements of privilege.
I was just a young punk who was just saying, well, screw you. I don't have to do this. I'm going to do other things.
just thought, you know what, I'm going to leave this behind. And as it turns out, I left it behind for about 35 years. And I still love being in a sailboat. And everything else can be going wrong with the day. I might not feel like racing or being competitive every single day, but put me in a sailboat, a little dinghy preferably, a performance boat, and I like being there.
Yeah, we'll put it on its side, take a break, then we'll flip, and then we'll lift up.
Time on the water is a sailboat racer's friend, so every regatta on the calendar represented an opportunity to get better.
Oh, no, don't start moving it. I'm going to lift it up.
The albacore was our focus, but it isn't sailed as widely as the laser. Almost anywhere, at any given time, you can find a laser race. And races were what we were looking for.
Hello.
Hi, as far as it'll go.
Okay.
Across the country and across the waters to be here. This is a great group. Out of all the events and all the competitors that we have come here, it is really, really cool to have world-class sailors coming out for a good time.
That was a big wave!
But, you know, in a situation like that, it's basically people are trying to head up to get inside. Like, I mean, that's what, you know, Jude was way down here. We were up here, and Jude was down here. And all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but he decides to come up like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And all the boats in here are all of a sudden heading up, because Jude is trying to get inside, and he's going high and fast. And so everybody is you know, heading up. And so if we're wing on wing, we got to flip that off and head high and power up.
You never get to mix the nice with the hard.
Poor Julie. You're having a little suck attack, Julie. Yes.
Very reasonable one.
We might be able to get a run in today after all. No?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Well, I know, and that's the problem. For you, you want, understandably and quite rightly, you want to sort of bust out. For me, it means kind of having a little bit more quiet time and taking it easy, because
I don't really want to bust out like,
No,
let's go party.
No, I
just
know
want
that.
to change.
I'm just
fresh air.
Right. I know. Well, we know how to have fun, so let's do it, right, Julie? Okay, and now for the best part, right? So that's what's so annoying about the whole bloody thing, right from the beginning. This is amazing. This makes it worthwhile. All of it.
These are floating, eh?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Abersock was a big deal for us. It was our first overseas regatta, and we were nervous. Sailing at this level requires a slightly different approach than for other regattas. The event unfolds over the course of a week. The race courses are longer, the number of races is higher, and the competition is always deep. We wanted to bring a consistent, methodical approach to our racing days. First, get a solid start. Position well with shifts and favored sides upwind. Get to the first mark with the lead group. If you can do this, you are on your way. We were getting accustomed to being at the pointy end of the fleet. Top boats were working to hold us off. We had become a threat. On the last day, it looked like a black flag disqualification of the former world champion Mike McNamara would give us a 4th overall. His heated protest was ultimately accepted by race officials, and the McNamara team took 4th place. We finished 5th overall.
Back in Canada and back on the water. In the blur of traveling and racing, we'd sold our Toronto area home and moved aboard the Emma, effectively putting us in a boat of one kind or another all the time.
Love that.
That is awesome.
Into an ideal first place.
Oh my gosh.
They sell, reimagine, renovate.
Okay,
They
Julie.
are the Property Brothers.
Come and do our boat! Come and do our boat! Emma? Alan just posted. Come on, people. Friday night race tonight. 8 knots. Thunderstorms will pass by 5. Don't be a sissy.
You said that?
Alan Nuvo. We're not sissies. We were the only ones out on the water on Sunday.
While sailing can be a genial sport, there can also be some big emotions expressed. In a fleet as competitive as ours, getting off the line well can make or break your final result. Start lines often have a bias, a favored end that invites racers to clump together, fighting for position. Too many boats and not enough water. Similarly, the turns around the race marks can resemble a traffic circle at rush hour. Race rules are in place to guide sailors through these moments, but the rules are self-enforced. Sometimes things get a little heated in this circumstance, and there are few rewards in sailboat racing for letting the other guy go first. There's no doubt that sharp elbows are a part of any competitive racing fleet. Run-ins became more prevalent as we are now regularly at the top, fighting for it and fighting with the other guys who are not willing to give an inch. At a certain point that season, the testy competitive stuff took an unsettling turn. We'd come back to the boatyard in Toronto after an out-of-town competition to find my laser had been tampered with. Someone had gone under the cover to reverse a couple of essential cleats, making the boat unsailable. A fellow competitor sending a message? Was it a prank? We weren't expecting everyone to love us, but we weren't expecting this either. On the same day we discovered the tampering, we won the last Friday night race of the year, bringing an end to an edgy but successful season.
Shall I read the chapter headings?
Sure.
There's a lot of them.
I know.
1. General. Series and strategy. Major mistakes. Race management. How the specialists win.
We'd long understood that being successful at a world championship was all about preparation. But unlike our naive expectations of a few years ago, we now knew what we were up against. And so we returned to the cycle of traveling, training, and competing, pulled along by the knowledge that we could actually win it.
Clear air. Shifting gears.
We landed stateside, ready to go. We'd sail more, race more, and work out on land as well as water. We'd read books on tactics and rules, travel to Miami for Christmas time racing, and to Sarasota for training at New Year's.
Well, I didn't get the wave sweep.
We were still making up for lost time, and that truth underscored everything. Not yet understanding the dynamics of competitive burnout, it seemed like our best and only option.
Yep, we're the only people here.
Yeah. The only other person who may have been here is Tom.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Y'all.
Okay.
Apart from us fucking crazy people. 2 days in a row, we've been out on a boat of one kind or another. Before that, yes, racing, and that was traveling and sailing, albacore, laser, albacore and laser and albacore, laser. You on the laser, albacore, laser. What's it, albacore? Laser, albacore and laser. It's a lot. A lot of time on the boots.
Now here we go again, and it's sort of yesterday, like, I'm feeling anxious because it's a, like a low-key club race day, and I'm feeling kind of, I'm feeling anxious, whatever it is. It's ridiculous performance anxiety, and today it's like, okay, so it's ripping out there, so now it's more different performance anxiety, Poor me, but it's just like, whatever, like, where is that stuff coming from? Like, this is something I truly love, and when I'm on the water, I really love it, like, I love it, and yet when I know we're about to go to battle, whether it's blowing 6 knots and we got a race day, or whether, we're not even racing and we got some big breezes to deal with. Like, why is that?
Because it's challenging.
You're so smart.
being burnt out it's not like, oh, a day off makes all the difference in the world. It doesn't. It helps if all I am is physically tired, but that's not what's going on. And the problem is that, like if I just say, okay, well, I just want to take a day off, then there's still always more stuff to do. There's still boat work to do, and there's just still all this stuff to do.
My dilemma is that this is Julie's dilemma, and yet we're part of the team, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I don't know how to help you, because like I would love to go sailing with you, and I'm in this moment.
I just kind of sometimes like you felt like doing something else with me besides going sailing.
I feel all right before we go out, and then for the first little bit that we're out, I'm feeling like, oh yeah, this is great, the water's pretty, breeze, blah blah. And within no time, I'm mad, and I'm thinking things like, this is me in sailboat racing. I'm just like angry and petty and sulky and weak. So yesterday, I had a little meltdown, and it wasn't very nice. It's kind of ashamed of it. I keep trying to tell myself I want to be the best crew for him, and I keep, thinking about me. So selfish. Anyway, so that's where I'm at with things. We had a nice run today, nice 7-mile run, and we did our wall sits, and we're getting very good at our wall sits. And now I would just like to go for a drive on this sunny day, drive to Hutchinson Island and maybe go for a swim. But we're going to go sailing. Just to, shake things up a little bit.
Things are looking good. Very Christmassy.
Well, that does it then. I guess I won't be racing this weekend.
Hang on, I gotta punch that out.
Turn around when possible, northwest 77th Avenue. Then, bear left.
Okay. Miami. Here we come.
East 15 kilometers an hour. Monday, 10 kilometers. Okay, home sweet home. Whoa, Tuesday, 5 kilometers. Fuck. So I just have to deal with a stinky room. It stinks in here. Look at how that flag is not even moving.
I know.
Where are you living?
I would say.
Miami's a bust.
The winter's coming now.
Well, we'll see.
Well, we'll see.
We hope for everybody that's right.
Yeah. I agree.
We're headed back to Jensen and then to Sarasota to sail with the Albacore group.
Can you guys,
We just have
so
to
he
do
can get out?
Yeah, no, we.
Yeah, he needs to leave.
I understand.
No, this thing.
We're packing up again to chase the wind. Hopefully there's more on the other coast.
I'll put the spars up if you get the padding.
Sorry, mate. The name? Oh, the email address. It was for the La Quinta, Miami Airport North. What we're wondering is if it's possible to leave early, but it's we're just thinking that we might need to change. We are having a change of heart about our plans.
Dog crap somewhere there. I just
You stepped in it?
Yes. It's underneath leaves somewhere, I guess.
Oh. That sucks. Do you still want this?
I'll be back.
Oh, the room is shut.
Well, I just wanna.
Oh, okay.
Shoot. Damn it. Oh, this fucking stupid fucking fussy fucking life.
Goodbye, La Quinta. Where did the other tires go?
Well, I guess we're going back to Miami.
Hi there, my name is Julie Stewart. We just realized we got back to Jensen Beach that we left a set of dolly tires in the park. I'm not sure what we can do about it. We were hoping that maybe somebody could just dash across the street and grab them for us.
1Z, Julie.
Okay, sorry. 1Z, 6W, 18.
Sorry, 1Z, 6W, 18.
7E,
Yeah.
03, 85, 46, 07, 15.
Good luck.
Track a package 1Z6W187E03854607115. 1Z. Fucking kill me now. 1Z6W187E0385460. Hi, I'm trying like mad to track a package. Yep, it's 1Z6W187. Jamie?
Looking cozy. Okay, Sarasota, here we come. Sarasota at New Year's was a chance to sail at the venue for the Worlds with several of the other top teams, including 5-time world champions Barney Harris and David Byron, Paul Clifford and Mia Brandt, and Darren Monster and Tony Zakraszczak. We'd be able to speed test with the good guys and do some low-key racing and fine-tuning before heading back to Jensen Beach for our final weeks of training.
I know, it's just not fast. You guys fucking crushed us on that reach. That's what pisses me off.
You fucking crushed us.
And I had so many ticklers. Barney said, put more ticklers on the main, which I did. And I had them all flowing. It's like, they're still passing us. Barney, you're wrong. Reaches?
Unless it's honking?
Yeah, unless it's really honking. Our goal is to get like another 40 pounds out of this boat.
Right here.
January 2nd, 2015. The other teams have arrived. It's nice to have other boats to work with. Everyone's sailing fast. We're trying to get 8198 dialed in for what's to come. Jules has been struggling a bit. The time on the water thing is taking a toll. More and more, it's feeling like work, and we're really having to force ourselves. Some days, especially when the wind's up, everything on the water gets magnified. The sails flap around, your sheets snap at you, and the whole experience gets rawer than you're ready for. Some days, you don't even want to be on the water.
In some ways, it's like it's starting to scare me a little bit.
After 80 meters,
Well, I
sharp
just
right, northwest
we're not-
74th Avenue. Then
it's not
turn
leading
left.
us at this point to being really great to each other, and so in that way, it's starting to upset me on a deeper level than just, oh, I'm not sure how much I'm liking sailing right now or something like that. It's more like I don't like how it's making us treat each other.
Exactly what we're talking about. Maybe going home because we're going fucking crazy here. In this weird headspace.
It's so weird. It's just gotten so strange. Like, I feel like it's really gotten strange.
Hello.
How many on board?
2.
Where do you live?
We live in Toronto.
How long were you away?
Approximately 2 months. We left Canada November 6th.
Where'd you go?
To Jensen Beach, Florida.
You mean it's not just about having a house?
Right. It's not about having...
Right, we can have a house in Florida, and I don't think I'd actually feel that much.
Feeling more connected. I agree.
In the first year or so we were doing this, seeing friends of mine at gatherings, like actor friends, and them kind of saying, wow, so you've like completely reinvented yourself. I'm like, yeah, I'm so cool because that's exactly what I did. And artists, that's what you have to be able to do is a master's of reinvention. So yeah, that's exactly right. And inside thinking, I haven't really done that. But now I feel like, I don't know if I feel reinvented. I feel kind of obliterated in a way. But do you know what I mean? I think the obliteration has to be part of reinvention. You have to destroy in order to reconstruct,
That's big.
Yeah, well, I've been feeling rather epic lately.
February 16th, 2015. Jules and I had a good 2-hour session yesterday on the water. Latest on the Worlds is we've got 40 plus boats. Jeff Moore has just entered, which is kind of a surprise. A real pro from North Sails. He shows up in the Albacore fleet for the occasional Friday night race. So he's going to be another contender. The race organizers have decided to use the annual Midwinters Regatta as a chance for everybody to warm up for the big event. Pleased about that. Expecting it to be tougher than Wales in 2013. Shaping up to be a great boat race.
over the world are here on the Suncoast this week.
It's an international regatta that's going on right now at the Sarasota Sailing Squadron. And Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan joins us live from the squadron tonight with more. Hi, Bob.
How do you feel this morning? Are you nervous or
Good to go.
Where did the measurement card go?
In the boat.
You were doing a little bit of pacing with the squally, and then Sterling kind of pulled up alongside us for a second. He was going faster. But he was... That's what happens?
You're going to just be going faster than almost everybody out there, even if you're not totally at your maximum potential.
Well, get that last 1%.
Nobody left to sail against it. So we're all that we can. It's not a failure out of here.
I feel jinxed!
There was a decent breeze when we first started, 5-6 knots maybe, but the wind just completely dies here. You can see the cloud cover, and there's just sort of this system just sitting on top of us. Wind tends to get really localized as the pressure drops, and so weird things can happen. And so everything is happening in super slow motion. I mean, there's still a ton of anxiety.
We were trying like fuck to avoid, and the thing that really drew attention though is
Me yelling.
Yeah.
I know.
It's just better. It's just all in all.
I know that.
Okay.
I know that.
Okay, well, don't worry about it.
That's the race.
Well, that was the one.
This is the race. We reached the windward mark in first.
A lot of backing and forth.
Yeah.
And we managed to stay at the top. Really duking it out with George Carter
And Jeff Moore.
Oh, yes, the left and right.
Sometimes you have to get mad, sometimes you have to laugh, sometimes you have to shout. There's
I always have to shut up. I know.
So we were in the lead coming into that last bottom mark.
Okay, Jeff's got room. I have room on you, George. George? Yeah, no. I had to change course there. Yeah. We run starboard, you run port. I had to change course there.
We came into the mark on starboard. George had already jibed for the finish line, and to avoid George, I had to make a small alteration of course, which technically I should not have to do. So Jeff was encouraging us to protest George, which we chose not to. It would have been nice to win. That would have given us fewer points. We finished third, but we only lost 2 points in this exchange. However, emotionally, I think this hit us harder than it should have.
We have 2 more days to figure out how to drive in this shit. I don't want to care. I don't even want to think about it. We had been waiting for a day like this. Wind, waves. We'd gone out again, which we were really excited about because we thought we were going to really be able to play with those waves and play and, you know, work our speed.
It was just one of those days where we could not get dialed in. still to this moment, I don't know why we couldn't get the boat going. Okay, so final day, after not sleeping too much on the night of day 3, George, he just sailed so well from beginning to end at this regatta that I don't think anybody was going to touch him. However, we were still there. We were still sitting in third, not by a lot on day 3, but we wanted to maintain and at least get to the podium. See us coming back. So this is day 4 where we're hoping to come back on the prior day's performance, and the first race of the day we totally botched the job. So here we are, we're doing spins at the start of the first race of the last day, and we're off the line last, second last. You can see another boat there that also had to come back because they were over the line early.
You were worried about being over the line early as well, so after doing our spins, you also dipped back down behind the line.
Right. When you're down that much, it's just really hard to sail through the fleet. This is one of the races that I still feel great about, that we were able to come from behind and get ourselves into the mix by the end of the race.
Well, we crossed the start line in like 43rd place, and we crossed the finish line in 5th.
So this is the second race of the day, and the wind was up by now. It was blowing, I think, 15 to 18. It goes up and down. You can see the storm clouds here. So
yes, and occasional lightning.
We got out to a pretty good lead.
We led this race from the start.
see the boats right behind us here.
How close they are now.
Barney's there. I think
Barney, George, and Darren.
Right. So we got a great group of the usual suspects.
Yeah, so now you have to sit down and do some math again because Barney was, I think, only 2 boats behind us.
He's climbing up on us. We've had a first and a fifth. We're sailing pretty well. My feeling was, yeah, we should be watching Barney because we want to stay on the podium.
We had to wait for a while, too, for them to decide if they were going to do a third race because there was concern about thunder squalls.
This race would decide whether we would make the podium or not. See, again, we're off the line really cleanly. We're ahead of most of the fleet who've sailed off right. And finally we go over, but it's too late. The shift has happened. Barney's ahead. Fleet, I think, split on this upwind. Yeah, I mean, we pick up boats, and we're actually picking up. We're climbing back. We're getting closer to Barney, and we're making it happen.
And there we are rounding, and we're just slowly piecing together that was the finish line.
Everybody around us at this point had the same...
Was confused.
Was confused too. None of us knew that the race had finished.
Yeah. So, this was a long build-up to this event. Are you feeling any different than before? Do you feel like it's done?
Good.
Where are you at with that?
In a world where they wanted to be the best in the world, they weren't the best in the world.
One of the best things about this experience is that it has proved that if you try really hard and you work really hard, you'll get better.
For me, it's always the mental stuff is harder. I mean, even when I get really tired physically, I'd rather be challenged physically than mentally.
I don't feel like it's done.
I don't know why you're not more nervous. oh, 'cause I'm making it up. But I have been delirious ever since that day that you told me I made you throw up. You know, guys like me should be strung up for everything I've thought and said and done. But could it be, yeah, that you and me, oh, we're two of the lucky ones. Yeah, we're two of the lucky ones. Just as long as I'm waiting here for you. And I don't mind that I need to be changing. Just as long as I am making myself better for you. It's not complicated, but I'm shaking. I'm so used to my heart breaking. The ones that you broke because of you. That don't matter now, 'cause it's easy. I don't care if the cynics tease me. To write this for them, I wrote it for you. I wrote it for you. I wrote it for you. It's not complicated, but I'm shaking. I'm so used to my heart breaking. The ones that you know because of you. But that don't matter now, 'cause it's easy. And I don't care if the cynics tease me. Didn't write this for them, I wrote it for you. I don't know why you're not more nervous. 'Cause you know what I am capable of. But could it be, yeah, that you and me, oh, we're two of the lucky ones. Yeah, we're two of the lucky ones. Oh, we're two of the lucky ones.